Having some abs, having some abs, even after eating at night, is pretty sweet. Because I feel like that's the hardest time to have abs, is when I'm like bloated after a meal, you know? But the video that I wanted to come on here and make for you guys today is talking about the control you need to have when getting in amazing shape, right? I feel like it's an underestimated thing, and it's why 90% of people, I don't know what percent of people, never achieve a good physique. They never get in great shape because they never have control of their inputs, right? They're always focused on the output. When you meet somebody that says, "Oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to get a six pack. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to, have my first bicep vein. I want to start going to the gym more consistently." Whatever it is, they focus too much on the result and not on the process that's going to get them there. A lot of people that actually take action, right? They go to the gym, they quote unquote diet, and they think that they're healthy. They think that they're like, they would consider themselves a gym rat. They would consider themselves somebody who prioritizes their fitness and their health if you ask them about it. But in reality, like, their physique looks like shit. They don't look like they work out. They don't look like they take care of their body. And it's because their inputs never actually align with the output that they want to achieve, right? So what you have to realize is, just like anything else, fitness it's just an equation. It's the inputs that you put in are then going to lead to a different output. And in order to be in the best shape possible and achieve the desired outcome, to achieve the desired output, all you need to do is give yourself the right inputs. Actionable steps, things you can actually do, actions you can really take. And the most important thing is to have control of your inputs, to have control of those factors that are actually going to lead to your result, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean, how can you grasp, oh, if I do X, Y, and Z, it leads me to this result, right? How can you grasp, oh, well, this amount of calories leads me to this physique, or this training program leads me to this physique? That's what you need control of. And the first realization that anybody can make in order to take action and start improving their physique starting tomorrow is understanding that whatever you've been doing up to this point has led you to the physique that you currently have. That's as simple as it is, right? I used to be 180 pounds. I'm actually, damn. I said I was used to be 180 pounds as if I'm not anymore. I'm actually lighter, which is kind of crazy. But I used to be 180 pounds and I used to hate my physique. Like, I wasn't proud of the way that I looked. I felt like I was working my ass off. I was having protein. I was training hard in the gym. I was setting bench press PRs. I was trying to improve my squat. I was, chasing all these output goals, right? These are desired outcomes. They're not tangible inputs. It's not a goal of like, oh, I'm going to show up to the gym 2 times a week and bench press 2 times a week for the next 2 months following this program. That's an input, right? You can control that. No, it's just an output of, oh, I want to bench 275. Oh, I want to squat 400, right? So I had my goals set wrong in the first place, but I wanted to take my physique to that next level. And the first realization that I had to make is that whatever I've been doing up to this point has led me to the physique that I currently have. And I could be even more firm with that belief because my physique barely changed for about a year straight. From about 2022 to 2023, right? That year, nothing changed. And I was in the gym 5-6 days a week, training pretty hard, showing up consistently. And the reason being It's because I had no control over the inputs that I was actually, the actions I was actually taking in order to try and change my physique. So the first step I had to take is realize, okay, so me living my current life, right? The 6 eggs that I would have for breakfast every morning, the protein shake that I would have at lunch, and the Chipotle bowl that I would have after the gym for dinner, those inputs were leading me to look the way that I was. And whatever my activity level was, whatever the training that I was doing, was leading me to have the physique that I had. And I wasn't satisfied with it, right? So you can grasp those inputs in detail, right? There's things such as tracking calories. There's things such as tracking your workouts, tracking every rep, every set, every weight that you lift, every step. You can track the ins and outs of your fitness if you really wanted to. But with that being said, it's very difficult to just jump into, right? I didn't like tracking calories. I didn't like doing any of those things. So even though I do it every single day right now, in those shoes, it wasn't easy for me to say, okay, so from now on, I'm going to track everything that I do. But the approach that I had to take to start getting in better shape and to start seeing progress with my physique is I had to grasp some control of the inputs that I was putting in, right? So for those of you that haven't been on this channel, for those of you that might be watching, me for the first time, the story of when I actually put my head down and started focusing on bodybuilding and taking it more seriously was I was working out consistently for a few years and I achieved a decent physique, but I wasn't that satisfied with it, right? Then there was a period where I went to college and I thought dirty bulking and just bulking in general was the answer to building muscle. So I ate a shit ton of food. I drank a ton of alcohol. I was constantly consuming calories, and I went from 180 pounds to 220 pounds in the span of 4 or 5 months. It was something ridiculous. And actually, I have loose skin from it now, right? I'm pretty lean, but I have loose skin from the amount of weight that I gained at that point. But then I found myself in a position where I was 220 pounds, completely unsatisfied with my physique. I wanted to be shredded. I wanted to be aesthetic. I wanted to have control over my fitness and the way that my body looks. And the first step that I had to take was just gain some control of whatever the fuck I was doing. Because I was just eating random shit. I was having random calories, random protein, random lifts, choosing exercises on the fly was the approach that I took with my training. It's like, oh, well, today we're going to be doing lunges. And then tomorrow or the next leg day, we're going to do RDLs. Why? Like there was no structure behind my training nor my eating. So the first step I had to take was to try and gain some control. And actually what's been an absolute blessing is just my Whoop, right? Because I was able to take control of my steps. And I think that's what's helped me so much is just being able to say, oh, I've walked 10,000 steps, 12,000 steps definitively, right? Because, it's a pretty accurate tracker and you don't have to get a Whoop or an Apple Watch. There's a ton of cheap step trackers on Amazon, online, wherever you want to get it. And that's the biggest thing that I use it for is just my step count. But tracking my activity level. And if I couldn't track my steps, guess what I did? I would just implement routines and habits in the smallest ways, but keep control of them, right? So what I'm talking about here is I started off with a morning walk. I didn't throw myself on a treadmill. I didn't do no bullshit. I didn't start doing the Stairmaster for 30 minutes a day to start losing weight. I didn't do something that was like from no activity to just torture, right? I didn't take that step. I was fat and I was like, if this is going to be a sustainable journey where I get shredded, I'm going to need to lose a lot of weight. So let's make this happen for real. So I took the smallest steps, right? I just started with a morning walk. But guess what that does? As soon as I started walking every single morning, I built myself a little trail, a little loop that I would do around my neighborhood. And that was the loop. So even if I didn't track my steps, that was the loop. I kind of know how much I've been walking every morning, and then the rest of my day looks pretty similar. So my activity level was pretty consistent. And then from there, I built out meals that I actually enjoyed and that were sustainable for me. So it's funny because as soon as you start like thinking about these things and just giving it that second thought and that second effort, it just all kind of clicks into place, right? I distinctly remember meal prepping I started this job working for the city, and I was mowing lawns all day basically, which was also huge for activity. But as I'm prepping my meals, right, I would do the same things. I would use the 90-second rice, and I would, not 90-second like microwave rice, and I would always get the same packet. I would always get the same packet at Target, right? I would cook my 93 7 ground beef. I would have my chicken breast. It would last me the same 3 days, right? The 1 or 2 packs of ground beef would last me the same 2 or 3 days every single time. So without even, putting my food on a scale, I could gauge like the meals that I was eating. If I have the same yogurt and the same eggs for breakfast, and then my last meal at night is similar protein or whatever, I'm all of a sudden having control. And I think actually a massive step of that was me getting out of college. I think college gave me some of the worst, like university gave me some of the worst habits. um, I developed some of the worst habits in college. But right, so just taking these small steps and having small control of what am I actually doing, right? What are the inputs that I'm putting in? What matters? My food and my activity level. My training, yeah, obviously training if you like when it comes to muscle growth, but I'm talking about like getting shredded here a little bit more specifically. And and as I plateau, I now have control, right? So I was 220 pounds, unhealthy habits. As soon as I tweaked them and, started living a bit of a healthier lifestyle, I lost some weight from that. And as I had some control, I could tweak my habits, right? So I could make my morning walk just that little bit longer. I could do an extra lap around that block that I avoided. I could extend it a little bit more, right? So then my activity increases just the tiniest bit, right? And then with my rice, instead of having that rice packet make me 2 meals, I'm now going to split it between 3 meals, meaning like among, right? You get what I'm saying. So you just break it up. And it's just like the smallest things. As soon as you have control and you have like a thought process behind what you're doing, that brings it to the next level. But before you think getting shredded is a breeze and all you have to do is walk a little bit more and eat a little bit less, the goal is to always be progressing. The goal is to always push yourself a little bit further and further, right? So at the beginning, I might have been this fat fuck who had no discipline, drank not every single night, but drank multiple times per week, smoked weed every single night, right? All these things, Netflix, porn, all these awful habits that kept me in the shoes that I was in and kept me from seeing progress with my physique. If you take that and then you take the person who's disciplined, who can do cardio every single day, who can track his calories, right? Who can do all these things. They're very different people, and you can't just time lapse and jump to the other one. But I understood that that's the kind of guy that I wanted to grow into. That's the kind of guy that I wanted to pursue the traits of, if that makes sense. So you have to start with the small things, but you also have to nudge yourself out of your comfort zone further and further and further, right? So the small habit of just being mindful about my meals, I then start tracking them a little bit more, understanding more what is the macronutrient content of this meal. Is this a meal I enjoy? Can I eat this every day? Perfect, right? So then you have like a bit of a system. This is the breakfast, this is the lunch, this is the dinner. You have a bit of a routine. Okay, this is my morning walk, this is when I train, this is what I like to do when I train. And all the pieces start to fall into place as soon as you build the habits and you build the routine. Once you're in that and you start seeing progress, the discipline that a calorie deficit brings is just absurd. Like if you can master this, you can push yourself so much further than you can even imagine, right? So as I'm doing these things, I start taking it more seriously. Instead of just doing my morning walk. I started walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes after my workout. I wanted to anyway. I sat down. I distinctly remember this. I sat down because I wanted to edit videos for Instagram. And I was like, oh, well, I could just low-key do this while getting a few steps in. So every time after my workout, I was walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes, getting a few extra steps in, editing some videos. That's all it took, right? With the combination of the Whoop. Now I'm tracking my steps. Now I have a distinct step goal that I'm hitting every single day. And then eventually that progressed into, I kind of want to track my calories. I kind of want to understand how many grams of protein is actually coming from this ground beef that I'm eating, right? Get a food scale. Boom. Now I have a consistent meal in place. And now once you master like your macronutrients, your macronutrient intake on a daily basis and your calories, dude, you're building yourself into this person that I never thought I could be. I didn't think I could be this disciplined, right? I didn't think that I could build these habits, but now it's almost on automatic, right? So if you want amazing results, not only do you need to have that destination and that dream result, right? That goal that you set for yourself, but you also need to get accustomed to the systems behind it, the habits behind it, the inputs, because that's something you can control, right? It's not about, oh, well, did I lose the 5 pounds in this month? No, it's more about, oh, well, did I track my calories? Or was I mindful about the foods that I'm eating? Did I try to eat the same breakfast every single day? Did I hit my protein goal every single day? No, then why the fuck would the result be there? You need to focus on the inputs in order to get to the output. That's all it is, right? So build the habits and build your systems and routines around what you're going to do on a daily basis and how that aligns with that result that you want to get to, right? Now I'm a guy who loses weight on automatic. Like as soon as I snap my fingers, I'm just, alrighty, we're losing weight. Like I never thought I had this kind of discipline. I never thought I could obtain this kind of control over myself, over my physique, and over what I look like. But it's that simple, right? And in the last, I guess 4 months now, I've dropped 30 pounds. And it's been the easy. Of course it's hard. But when I say it's easy, I mean it's been, sure, the simplest journey I've ever been on. Because I've done it before. I was just like, all right, so we're going to start not force feeding myself. I'm going to start not force feeding myself because that's what I was doing to gain weight. And I'm going to start walking in the morning. Boom, right? Every single day I was doing the same things. I was working behind my computer. I was going to the gym at this time. Now I added a morning walk and I ate a little bit less, right? Then when I need to adjust and I need to see further progress, I take it more seriously. Alrighty, I'm going to eliminate this carb from my breakfast. Just that. Right? And I'm going to walk a little bit more. Alrighty, now we're getting serious. I plateaued again. Let me start really dialing on the calories and the macros and seeing what I'm eating so that way I can tweak it and reduce it to align it with my goal. Focus on the inputs. If you can just master the inputs, the output is going to be there on the other side. It's that simple, guys. Don't be your average gym Joe. Don't be your average guy that goes to the gym, goes through the motions, and proceeds to look like shit and proceeds to look mediocre for the rest of his life, even though he commits just as much time to the game. You can achieve so much more than you even think, but you need to grasp control of the inputs. Alrighty, guys. I love you. I'll see you guys here in the next video. That was just a little rant for you.